Welcome back to another edition of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Anativia, your host, your guide, your coach, here to get you inspired to take action with your online course and marketing. You and I are continuing the conversation that we started last week, where I interviewed Hillary Bennett from Motivated Mompreneur about the importance of list building. And I thought, let's dig deeper into this whole lead magnet idea. And when I say lead magnet, I mean a checklist or a guide or a cheat sheet that potential students will give you their email to access. That's why I want to talk about today, because I kind of feel like we haven't talked about it enough. We don't just do course creation over here at the Course Creation Boutique. We talk about lead magnets and the customer journey all the time. Becky, my online business manager, and I are always going back and forth. Megan O'Leary, who's been on this podcast multiple times, we often work with clients working to figure out what's the best way to list build. What's the best way to get that email? Today, I'm going to break down 3 steps to get to that great lead magnet, the one that's high converting. And before I get started, I want to say a quick note that if you are feeling behind, if you are feeling like your course is not where it should be, I want you to go back and listen to episode 51, where I talk about what to do if you're feeling behind. Because last week, I got behind. I didn't feel well last week. I completely overdid it the week before. All right, let's be honest, the weeks leading up to it. I've talked on this podcast before about how I'm very careful to manage my energy so I'm not exhausted at the end of launches. And I totally messed up this time around. I got completely exhausted. I overexerted myself and I had to take the week to recover. I was half as productive as I would have liked to be, and I almost jeopardized a weekend with my family and Tristan's birthday. So if you're feeling like you need to push yourself to get somewhere where you need to be with your course, I just don't want you to feel that way. I want you to pace yourself because I didn't pace myself. I didn't do so great. And my husband is saying to me, you can't oversubscribe yourself. And I'm talking about how I'm always overbooking myself and I need to learn a better way to do it, a better way to go about my week so I'm productive and I'm managing my energy in a great way. So I just want you to know that pushing yourself through when the stress is high is just not the way. So listen to 51. I'll link to it in the show notes and just know you're exactly where you need to be. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about 3 steps to a killer lead magnet. And first and foremost, step 1, your guide, your cheat sheet, your quiz, whatever your lead magnet is, should be based on a real challenge. Now, this may sound obvious, but your course should also be based on a challenge and you should have a unique solution. Your lead magnet should be based on a pain point or a challenge that your potential student is feeling right now, a specific burning pain point. My friend Sal is a retail and e-commerce expert, and a lot of her retailers, what's the biggest pain point? Selling product. So she's been putting out this lead magnet about moving stock for, since as long as I've known her, it seems like forever that she's had this lead magnet, and she keeps putting it out there. She keeps putting ads against it because it works, because it's the biggest challenge that her people face. It's evergreen. Retailers will always have trouble moving stock and selling products. It's a classic and it's genius because it's based on a specific pain point. I was actually just talking to Sal the other day. She's going to double down on this lead magnet again. It's tried and true. It's what works. She's going to build out another funnel with this lead magnet. So think about what's that pain point that's never really going to go away for your student. That'll be something really juicy, something they really want. Now, you might have something that's on trend as well. You might be, say, a social media consultant. Maybe your lead magnet is about how to build more of a following with videos on Instagram after Insta said they weren't going to be a photo sharing platform anymore. So you're capitalizing on that trend. But overall, I love a core lead magnet that just takes on a classic pain point. That's step 1. So I made the mistake a few years ago. Before I did this podcast, I used to do Facebook Lives. And with some of those lives, I would do freebies, but they were fleeting. Like I didn't build full campaigns around them. I didn't drive traffic to them. I wasn't smart about it. And one time I did this thing about mantras. And if you're listening and you're one of the 10 people that downloaded that mantras guide, I want to thank you. But otherwise, it was a freaking lousy idea because I'm not known for mantras. I'm not known for affirmations. You're not coming to me for affirmations. You're just not. You might be coming to me for some tough love and some workshops and some tactical pieces around your course and digital strategy. But listen, you're not going to print out affirmation cards for me. I'm just not that gal. That's okay. I have friends that are like that. Like Lauren Lahav is a good friend and she has amazing affirmation cards. And now I'm doing an entire podcast about affirmation cards. So let's bring it back. I think you get the point here. Don't feel like you have to be trendy, be timeless, really be dialed into what you're known for and what you're providing for your students. Step 2, brainstorm some simple ideas. And this is a lot of times where folks go overboard because they think, well, I need to completely over deliver because someone's giving me their email. And yes. You want to provide value, definitely. You want to establish your expertise and authority, but you don't want to go completely overboard either. With a lead magnet, you want it to be digestible in 30 to 45 minutes. And you want your potential student to feel like they're getting a quick win. My friend Colleen, who's an incredible speaker, had this lead magnet. It was a guide that was 101 ways for moms to lessen burnout. It's something along those lines. And I said to her, that's a lot. Can you narrow it down to maybe 5 or 7? Now, you might be listening and thinking, well, Gina, how the heck is she going to go from 101 to 5 or 7? You want to simplify it because when you have 101, they're one-liners. And then how are you really adding value? Are you really establishing your expertise if you're giving 101 one-liners? Wouldn't you rather have 7 reasons or 7 ways or 7 hacks and to really establish who you are and provide value versus just being surface level? Or I get potential students sometimes who have 50-page ebooks, and that's not keeping it simple either. Because maybe your potential students will download it and never get through it, and you'll never hear from them again. The relationship is over before it even started. The lead magnet is like them swiping on a dating app. We've got a friend right now who's in the midst of this. Are they going to stop, click, and take the time to opt in? If yes, then you want to date and nurture them. And you don't want to tell them 112 things about you on the first date. You tell them a few things. You establish who you are and why they should continue the relationship with you. And by the way, if you keep it simple, you're less likely to spoil your core course. I was just doing an affiliate launch with Amy Porterfield. I was one of her partners in that. A lot of you have been listeners, and you know I've mentioned that a bunch of times. I just wrapped up an affiliate launch with Amy Porterfield, and a lot of you who have been loyal listeners, first of all, thank you. You also know that I've been talking about Amy's course here for a little bit. And as part of that course, there was a Facebook group, a run-up group, and a lot of students posted guides that really, I thought, stole the thunder of their courses. For example, if they planned a course to help teachers plan their lessons, and it was a guide to planning their lessons, and it was comprehensive, and it was too much. And I'm thinking, you're stealing your own thunder. I knew another course creator who put out an entire guide about what she teaches. Then she admitted 6 months later, I found out I totally satiated people, and they didn't want to buy my course. And she had a low price point course. So people would get that lead magnet, they got all the information they needed, and they wouldn't buy from her. You want to leave them wanting more. That's what marketing is, right? You're providing a solution and you're continuing that journey with them. But as part of it, you got to give them part of the solution or you're giving them a promise of what they can see. You want to leave them wanting more. You're providing a solution and you're promising them what's possible. You're showing them results in advance, but you're not spoiling your course. Which leads me to step 3, and this is the most important step. Your lead magnet needs to lead your person to the next step. Make no mistake, your lead magnet is there to get them to buy from you ultimately. So if you have a lower price point course, you might sell your course after your lead magnet. Or your lead magnet could lead to a webinar where you then sell your course, or to a video series, or a challenge where you sell your course. You see the pattern here? Don't leave your people hanging. Make sure they get to the next step. It could lead to a nurture sequence that then leads to one of the things that I just mentioned, but make sure you have that dialed in. We're always thinking with our own marketing and with different clients, where do we need to end up? Always start with the end in mind with your lead magnet and just know if they're not ending up where you want them to go, is this the right lead magnet? Is this the right opt-in for me? I've got a bunch of different lead magnets. I've got a checklist for a best-selling course. I've got my game plan. I'll link to both so you see 2 examples of highly converting lead magnets from myself. And all roads will lead to my 6-week accelerator. I'm telling you right now, I'm peeling back the curtain because I want you to learn that I'm going to nurture you and I'm going to give you different episodes from this podcast in the hopes that you eventually work with me with the 6-week accelerator. I know my end game. I want you to know your end game as well. I hope that was helpful to talk a little bit about opt-ins because as you can hear, I'm pretty passionate about them. If you want to have a discussion about your lead magnet, just send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you an audio back. A few podcast listeners have hit me up on Insta and it's been awesome to have a discussion with some of you. I'll see you next week. Please rate and review this episode, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and then subscribe. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.